What are you proud of what are you proud that you accomplished while having epilepsy?
Surviving.
I haven't
Definitely surviving, but I want to add becoming a father was probably my biggest accomplishment.
Good for you.
Yeah. I would say
Damn, I'm the mother. I'm supposed to say that too.
yeah.
Okay, but yeah, that too.
I would say surviving the car crash and reversing the stoma that they had to do an emergency surgery on. Did I know? Actually, I don't know if I ever told you guys how that happened. So, during the crash, part of my colon got nicked.
Ooh.
And there was just poo flowing all around the abdomen. It's like super like bloated and distended. They were like, "We need to do surgery now."
Yeah. That'll poison everything.
There was like there was like a risk or like probability of going septic if they didn't do anything.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So surviving that, the crash, making it out on the other side, and having that reversed, and yeah, just being alive. So.
My biggest accomplishments since epilepsy have been accomplishments. 6 of them. And they're all in school right now.
Oh.
All right. Awesome.
4 girls and 2 boys.
That's awesome.
Right on, man. Good job.
Fuck yeah.
I got 5 sisters, so I was almost like my dad, but I got another boy in the end, so I was like, okay.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I got 5 sisters and no brothers.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard not to compare too. We're getting ready to make this big move, like just done with Florida. No reason to be here anymore. Sick of the weather. We picked a spot in Tennessee, and I'm trying to tell my mother, you know, if we go to this place in the Poconos, that's right where a lot of your brothers and sisters are. Don't you have nieces and nephews? Like all my cousins got kids, right? And she's like, no, Katie, they didn't have kids as young as you. It's just it's so hard not to compare, but I you know, this epilepsy thing really does make a difference. For a while there, I was probably just thinking, maybe in some place in my head, I was thinking I could die tomorrow. So, fuck it, might as well. Let's see.
Yeah.
And
Been there. Been there.
Always
like here.
Well, that's refreshing to hear, though, because I thought there was seizures where they said it doesn't affect your memory. They tried, but so many doctors have said so many different things that now if you're only having the tonic-clonics twice a year, and even if you're having absence seizures twice a week.
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Oh, see you, Jason.
It was great to talk to you.
Hey, great talk to
Come and join us again.
Nice talking to you, Jace.
Nice talking to y'all too.
Please come back.
Tuesday and Friday.
Bring a topic with you.
That's all right.
All right.
To keep us on track.
So I got
now I don't remember what I was saying. So.
You were just saying how they'll tell
Boogie.
you like you don't have memory. There's no reason why you should have memory issues.
Oh yeah,
only
yeah.
having-
That's going to be the most frustrating part about getting reestablished with a whole nother team that actually deals with RNS in another state. Is I'm kind of nervous. I don't know what their take on treatment has been, and what are they going to say if I don't think this device is for you. I wouldn't change the batteries and just see how you do. Like what I'm trying to picture every scenario, but it's useless. You never know what the doctors are going to come up with. What you say? You broke up.
This doctor's just like, I'm going to take you off meds to see how it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. No.
Heard it too many times.
It's like a dog. It's like you're gonna keep changing his food until he doesn't have the runs anymore.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
you're gonna find one that's good for him, and then
I'm pretty sure if my neurologist, like, if I didn't ask her to if we could lower the lamotrigine, she would probably be okay keeping me on the cocktail that's been working.
Mhm.
But I want to lower it just because, like, I'm tired of being tired as fuck all the time, and
Yeah.
lower the meds to have
Right.
more of the romantic spark with the partner too.
Do they have you going like every 3 months, or how often?
It's like every 6 months with her because it's
Okay.
well enough controlled. But I don't know. She's also an epileptologist, so it might be harder to get appointments.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, if she feels it's not necessary to meet, for like 4 to 6 months, I'm like happy with that because that means it's like there's no reason to meet.
Oh, that's always
Exactly.
Yeah. I take it as that.
Well, that's what gave me the confidence too to kind of do it on my own. I've been on and off so many medications, and the ones that come with, the little slit in the middle, easy to cut in half. If it's not a capsule, the tablets that already have like that little pre-split mark, I'll try my own, see how it goes for a week, and then bring it up.
Right.
Because again, I had to go up to Melbourne, and it's a drive.
Right.
It was a far drive to get to the epileptologist, and not behind the wheel now for like 15 years. I do everything I can to not have to ask somebody for a ride. Hate that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
hate it.
The worst.
Just feeling
Then it's
reliant
like,
on family and children has got to be the worst part of this. Not going away and having to come to terms with that.
Yep.
right?
But that's
It's
probably
like,
why I'm taking this like self-sustaining homestead thing so far. That's like part of the reason we're leaving Florida is, yes, I have to be within so many miles of a hospital, but we're gonna try to get enough land to do the solar and go that whole route, starting a garden and trying to do something to show my children that we can still survive
Right.
no matter what the circumstance.
Yeah.
oh, back to the list.
Yeah, I know I
again.
went way off on that one.
We do that.
Yes, we do.
So it says spouses weaponize incompetence. My husband has a deliberate incompetence towards my medical needs. If I need my meds picked up, he will forget which ones and how much and have to call me even though they've been the same meds for years. If I have a seizure, he will walk away and wait for it to be over. And if others ask if I need assistance, he'll say no, it'll stop soon. If I seize in the middle of the night, he gets up and leaves the room. Oh man.
This poor woman, all the comments, just look at
Right.
this post.
And then the next day, I normally get in trouble for disturbing his sleep and making him tired for work. Or if I seize during my day, posticle when he gets home. And if I tell him I would like some affection, he will fall asleep in bed next to me, watching a movie or something, but not comfort me in any meaningful way. We got to medical appointments, and they asked him what my seizures look like, and he says he doesn't know. I can't drive, and he takes me to an appointment, but he's always running late, or got caught in traffic, or held up at work. I'll ask for practical things like ice pack or heat pack or a drink if I'm caught up in bed, and he'll forget or say, "Yeah, I'm coming," and then half an hour longer will go by while he plays video games and watches TV. He'll leave for work without checking on me and has left me incredibly ill before after a full night of seizures that he knew about. And when he gets home the next evening and I'm still in a bad way and he hasn't checked in 24 hours, he is gaslighting me, telling me I'm reading too much into it and on this site too much and he's tired of it. But it is like I don't exist. He's a very selfish man in his personal life, but he's never been selfish with me until I got sick. Of course, we were already married by then, but I just want to know that if I need him or need someone that I have support. That he won't just leave me seizing one day because he's running late for work and assumes I'll stop and then doesn't check in, and that'll be our last memory and last moments together. It's like living alone, except I'm supposed to not be alone. I'm meant to be with my husband for the better or worse death.
Oh my
Death
God.
to us part, love of my life, and he simply doesn't care or doesn't want to care or something.
Yeah, I don't think you should be married to that guy.
I'm gonna let
Yeah.
the guys go first here.
Fuck that guy. That's what I.
Thank you.
Fuck
Anybody
that.
else?
Yeah.
Please don't.
Screw him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Domestic abuse.
my
That's
wife.
that's way beyond an epilepsy post. That is
Yeah.
definitely domestic abuse. I mean, start with the Epilepsy Foundation if you want, but I would go the domestic abuse route if she doesn't have a support system ready to actually help her get out of that. And you know,
Right.
who knows? Who knows?
Definitely.
Depending on the state, divorces are easier or harder, and there's a lot involved in a divorce.
Yeah.
My
just
wife kicked me out
Wow.
get. Yeah.
a
That's.
few times. One time after just getting out of the hospital, and it's like we married for better or for worse. It's like,
Sickness and in health.
Exactly.
yeah. And I've been with her, we're going through our divorce now, and like a custody battle. And she mentioned psychosis and stuff. It's like, I've been through you with this for the whole time, and I never left her or anything.
Mhm.
And I stay right there, and I'm always by there. I always ask her, let's get a therapist or whatever. But
Are
her,
you in one of
when
those
it comes to
50-50
me,
states
huh?
where they are you in one of those 50-50 states where they automatically defer to 50-50 custody?
No,
Oh
I'm in
wow.
Pennsylvania.
So you have to fight for
Yes, it
every
was
minute.
the tri-state divorces took longer. There's been
Yeah.
a lot of divorces in my family too.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
another one
Wow.
on the list.
So weaponizing psychosis, like you trying to use your epilepsy against you, what does your legal counsel tell, what's the advice that your legal counsel is giving you about that?
I don't know.
I've been
Anything
looking
to do about
for
somebody asking.
legal counsel since she threw me out.
I
And
mean, she
it's
could
like
have
the
died
first
before she
hearing
was
was in
over.
April,
It sounds
the
like.
beginning of April. And all they gave me was say this, say this, say this, say this. And I was like, all right, I said all that. I brought in all the evidence that I needed.
Like
They
to
didn't
prove your
even care about
parenting
looking at,
capabilities?
huh?
Like evidence to prove parenting capabilities? Because
Yeah.
I think we're about to set a date too, and I'm stressing hard about whether he can actually use epilepsy, or the lawyer. Lawyers can make anything sound evil. So
But
I just wanted to know from somebody else if epilepsy was actually ever used against you in a
this is,
custody case.
yeah, this is not even lawyer versus lawyer. This is just me versus her type of thing.
Yeah, spiteful
And
bitch is pretty bad too.
yeah.
If it's you versus her, she's probably gonna use anything against you there. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Will children's testimony? I mean, are you talking teenage years, or will your children's
My
testimony maybe
daughter,
play to your advantage?
our daughter is 4, and for the past 3 years, I was the stay-at-home dad.
Okay, so there you
So,
go.
Well, that will work
That
in your
definitely
favor for
sounds,
sure.
yes.
You
Because
were
you'll
able to
be
yeah.
stay
there
at
for
home.
them.
You said you're in
I
Pennsylvania
was
around.
forced to stay at home. I was
But you
signing
but
up for
you
disability.
voluntarily provided adequate care for a
Yeah.
toddler
Right.
child. That's no joke.
Yeah.
Just the fact
Yeah.
that there haven't been any major preventable incidents, that should work in your favor.
Right. You
Yep.
can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's proof right there.
That's right.
So, in like around what area of Pennsylvania are you in? If you feel comfortable answering, because like I mean, I have like family friends in like
I'm in Philadelphia.
oh Philly. Okay. I think they're like an hour and a half away. They're in like Harrisburg. I think they have some. They might have some. I'm sure they have some friends who
I
are
even
lawyers.
reached out to like the epilepsy
Yeah.
disability lawyers to see, like,
Yeah, I think
because
they
they
told
said,
me they don't handle anything domestic.
yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the answer that I got from the Epilepsy Foundation, because again, it was just him getting advice from a cousin who's, does real estate law, but obviously she's smarter than him, so she was just telling him what to say to me to intimidate, to not change the locks basically. And this is
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be pretty drawn out, but child support is definitely scaring him.
I mean, the Epilepsy Foundation's okay, but I would try to go through maybe Americans with Disabilities
Oh yeah.
Foundation.
Yeah.
They seem a little more.
I saw that. I applied for disability since, the past 3 years, and I'm on an appeal waiting for another, and it's just like it's not going my way, but I'm looking at the way the administration is, and it's like
I'm on my
it's
third
not.
appeal.
Oh
Yeah.
Are you?
Jeebus.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
need to
a lot
see
of
this
papers.
in immediately.
wow.
Yeah.
And how do they even tell you why? Or is it just one of those like generic letters of I'm sorry, we've decided against your case,
Hold on,
Yeah,
yeah.
please.
it's just a
There's a
generic
letter
letter.
Y in here somewhere.
Wow. So they didn't cite that it was like your physician not providing compelling evidence, or you just not
Like,
having a job for long enough or something.
yeah, I've had, like, in terms of the work credits and everything,
Yeah.
I'm way beyond the work credits and everything. And if I do rather work. It's just
Me
the
too.
Yeah.
epilepsy
Definitely gets in
has
the way.
been, like, right now I'm just a part-time caregiver.
Right.
That work.
Yeah. It's really annoying not being able to work.
Yeah.
I
So
would
here
walk
is the
dogs if I
denial
could.
paper. It says, this is very important letter to read from Social Security. Please read it careful. If you cannot read English, please take this letter to someone who can. We're writing you about your claim for supplemental security insurance payments. Based on a review of your medical conditions, you do not qualify for SSI payments on this claim. This is because you are not disabled or blind under our rules. Doctors and other trained staff looked at your case and made this decision. They work for the state but use our rules. The rest of this letter explains our decision information about other benefits and your appeal rights. I am not disabled.
And that's it. They just say it point blank like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
but I fell in the fryer, So
Yeah.
I've done a few things, like walked in people's homes, told them this is my home, you got to get up out of here. I've walked into homes and just sat down and, hey, I know somebody here. Luckily, the
Yeah,
guy
that's
knew.
a pretty like
One of my worst
a
ones.
pretty legitimate.
Yeah, for sure.
It
That's
seems
like
like the
I
disability thing is not a battle anybody can fight alone. If you don't have like the right legal counsel or like
I
somebody
haven't.
representing you, like if you don't have a lawyer, you definitely can't do it like without a lawyer.
right?
I
'Cause
had one.
I have blackout seizures. So some of them are blackouts and some of them are tonic clonic. The blackouts I didn't really understand or know what I was going through at first, but the
Do
one I
they still
had
call them
this year,
absence seizures?
um,
Yeah,
I guess I could say that. I don't know. Somebody
I
told
think
me.
they
I hear
call it
focal and
absence.
absence, but I understand blackout. Blackout
Somebody
sounds
told me
more
it was a
familiar.
partial
Partial.
something.
Yeah, they told me partial too.
So what I did was from the beginning, what I got the story was from my friends. I was playing online, playing video games, and they said I started crying, and I wasn't answering what they were saying, so they muted me. Um, they said I was still playing, but I was crying. Um, so they just muted me and kept playing. And they said eventually when I stopped playing and I stopped moving, they start unmuting it and asked me what was going on. They said they didn't hear from me from a while. Uh, this was on the 4th floor. I woke up on the 2nd floor with no shoes on, sitting against the wall. And I noticed a guy that walked past me, so I got up and I followed him. And he just kept looking back like, hey, I see you. You're following me. And when he got to his door and I stepped next to him, he just kind of looked like, what you doing? Then he kept doing what he's doing. He unlocked the door and he pushed the door open and I walked in. And he was just like, then he went in and I was like, I know somebody here. And I went in the living room. I sat down. He was like, are you okay? What's going on? He was like, what's up with you? And I was just like, nothing. What's up with you? Why are you asking that?
Hello.
And then I was like, why don't I have shoes on? He was like, I don't know. He was like, I don't even know why you're here. And I was like, I know somebody here. He's like, are you sure? And then the next day I came back and apologized. Told him, I was going through something. I didn't understand it. I just woke up here and that's all I remember. He was like, okay, yeah, I understand. He was like, I've seen you in front of the building plenty of times. Ambulance come get you all the time. So I know what you're going through. That's now. So,
Hey, at some
so
point,
I went back home on the 4th floor and I put the headset back on and I started playing video games. And that's when they told me the story. It was like, where you been?
Oh.
I left and I was like, I'm assuming I had a seizure because I blacked out and I left. And they was like, oh, so that's when you were crying. And I was like, I was crying? And they were like, yeah, you were crying and then you left for a while. Now you're back. And I was like, I'm good. I don't have photosensitive seizures, so let's get to it.
so, like, do you
That's
still
cool.
live near the guy?
Yeah. He's on the
I had
2nd floor,
a
so yeah.
seizure
Would you?
once that I was on top of, like, I was leaving my house and I was on the top step of the stairway leaving my house and I just pretty much went flat and hit the ground. And one of my teeth got stuck straight into the concrete. It killed the nerves right there. They had to put a bridge in, and a few years later, another seizure just broke the bridge, and I can show you. Like, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody
But
bites
yeah,
down pretty hard.
I can see. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I've
and
probably
it's like,
cracked one before.
And you can't get
It's like-
disability, and you went through that.
That's crazy.
Pookie,
and
I
always have
do kind of,
dry mouths.
Huh?
I do kind of want to, like, some stage, I don't know if you could, like, I'd kind of want to, like, hear the
No, you cook.
neighbor's perspective just to, like,
Do what?
You can't
if
let
he has, like,
you know that you cook for yourself.
Oh,
if he did anything to, like,
Really.
de-escalate it or, like,
why did this one?
because I feel like in that state,
This
like,
is
I would
my
be,
earphone.
and I'm afraid because I don't know what I would do. And I guess I'd just be interested to hear, like, in his, when he was in that situation, like, if he knew, so you said he knew something, he knew about you, so he knew something was up, like, what kind of went through his mind? It was like, okay, how could I, like, de-escalate this situation? Because he's not. he's not in his right state of mind.
I'm just glad I didn't get hurt. But yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
ask him. I didn't ask him anything afterwards. I just went and apologized, explained to him or whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, I know what's going on. I understand what you got going on." He was like, "I didn't understand it was epilepsy." He was just like, "I see you so much. The ambulance picking you up out front of the building, so I kind of put some pieces together that something's going on." And he actually sat on the couch next to me when I first walked in, and I sat down, and he started talking to me like, "What are you doing here? Why you have no shoes on?" And I was like, "I don't know."
He's a good dude. I don't know that guy.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah, God bless him. That could have gone a lot worse because it's hard to decide who to tell what's really going on.
Yeah, wow. And he
Or
had
there
The
was another.
neighbors to whoever. You don't know how they're going to react if yes, they see you getting picked up a lot, but
Yeah.
they might assume domestic abuse. They might assume like something. If you don't look like there's something wrong with you, then they think it's mental, and then they might think I hope she don't got they don't have a gun or something. Like they might
Right.
just go
Yeah.
jump straight to those conclusions.
The situation where I walked into
So it's
someone
hard to
else's
decide
house.
who to tell.
The situation where I walked into someone else's house, it could have been so much worse because I walked in and it happened to be a rehab. So there's all kinds of people in there. And I'm screaming, shouting, telling everybody to get out of my house. And I was on my way to the store. So that was in between home and the store. I don't remember if I was on the way back or there or whatever the case. But I was in there screaming at them, telling them to get out of my house, so on. And there was some guy that was like, "I seen this guy get in the ambulance down the street a whole bunch of times because you come outside. You see the ambulance so many times, you eventually come outside." And he was like, "I seen that guy down there with some people. Let's go get those people." And he went and got my family.
Oh.
And there was one guy of that whole rehab that noticed me. So luckily, someone.
Yeah.
God bless him. That's
Yeah.
great. So one of the major things with disability is you can't say that you cook for yourself at all. Ever.
No.
That's
Oh.
one of the big things that you need to do.
I
Is that you
don't.
have to make sure that it's clear that someone else is preparing your meals for you.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
You basically got to sound like you're jobless.
Well, but the whole, but see, that was one of the main things that my doctor said. The first thing was, "Don't you dare cook," and I ignored him for a while until I really almost hurt myself or someone else, and then I listened, and because mine did get approved, thank God. But I went back to work twice after being off for 9 months or more each time. And the doctor, I had always had to write a letter saying, "I'm going against my doctor's wishes to go back to work." And nope, can't do it. Sucks.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys get your appeals approved. It's not right. You both obviously need it. I mean, everybody's obviously ill enough to need it.
My third blackout was, I think that one was the most dangerous just because I was by myself. The other ones could have been way dangerous, like getting killed or something, walked in people's homes. But the time when I left work and got on 3 buses and a train and went to my hometown,
Right.
that's so much worse because I was alone and I couldn't imagine how I looked on these 3 buses and trains to get where I went. Like I said, I came out of it and I was just getting to my hometown, stepping off the bus, like, why am I on this bus? And
Yeah, that's scary stuff, man. I like it.
Let me find something on the list.
Wait, I want
Opinions?
about that one girl's question. Did we ever solve it?
Which one was that?
The one girl was like, "Oh, I have."
Her husband's awful.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Her-
that's just a
And-
closed case
Yeah.
right there.
It's
You need
it's
to
only
support system and like ditch that douchebag.
Yes.
yeah, it's only
Rico.
good luck that she
Just
hasn't
wanna
had
make
a
sure-
speed up issue.
We all came to the
Yeah.
end.
He's a douche. Not even like my
Um,
wife has done some douchey things.
It's also like in a dangerous.
Right.
He's also putting her in like a dangerous spot too.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, when personal safety clearly comes into play,
Like
then
not purposely.
she
not
can
making
she
sense.
can get help.
Mm-hmm.
That
It's not.
absolutely warrants help from way more than just epilepsy
Yeah.
groups.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's absolutely like a local authorities thing to. I mean, just take it one step at a time. First, file charges.
There you
I'm
go.
sure they can come up with something.
I'm sure.
Right.
Establish a record of this abuse. And you know, again, I can't play lawyer, but that was a really, really harsh story. And
That
when
was
I read that
awful.
post
Yeah.
today, I scrolled through all the comments and just couldn't even keep it together myself to leave a comment because I just
Right.
agreed.
Hey.
I just agreed with all
I
of them.
didn't even see that one today.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Amen. Amen. Can I get an amen, everybody?
Amen.
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 That guy, dude.
So I
Like the
have
worst
one that
thing my wife
says,
did was, other than kick me out, was she would say, "Hey, let me know when you need me to get your meds." I'll say, "All right, go get them." And when I tell her, like, "Hey, can you pick up my meds from here?" and she'd be like, screaming at me for, having to pick up my meds. But that's about it.
That sucks.
right.
That guy's a douche compare.
Yeah, I'm happy about mail order pharmacies though. That's definitely made a difference.
What do you guys
It's
think
still
about
annoying
these
how
pill
they.
prices?
What's that?
The tariffs on pills.
I
don't know. I mean, I've been taking a reduced dose for long enough that even the controlled substance one. Oh, buddy, it's 2, 0, 0, 1. That's a 3. Sis, come help bro with the iPad. Okay, so the mail order pharmacies right now are calling clobazam the controlled substance. So that's the only one that I could only get in 30-day supplies. But
Yeah.
my strategy on the tariffs is stockpile, and that's what I've been glad that I've been doing for longer than Dummy's been in office. But it's that's my only strategy at this point.
Right.
I got a stockpile, lacosamide, Vimpat, whatever.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
of the.
Vimpat. I was on that.
I am
Why?
also having difficulty with the Clobazam. I take that and
that's shit's getting expensive now. It was $30.
Yeah. Well, anything they
last-
call a controlled substance, it's harder to get a hold of. It's more expensive.
Yeah, man, they
And
won't
it's
let you
supposed
get
to
it till
be
the
Klonopin is
last
gonna be harder.
day.
exactly.
Yeah,
And when
insurance
you have to
I can't even
beg
push
for
it
a
through.
ride.
That's the kind of thing I can't even put on auto refill.
Yes,
I know.
that's the biggest. It's the worst one because it's like,
That's the worst one.
fuck, I forgot to call, and it's like 2 days left.
I have to look at my calendar for something every day,
Mhm.
but that's the only reason that the meds don't get overlooked is because I rely on my calendar
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah. I have a pill box. But
Yeah, I do too.
That-
And I
Samesies.
usually fill it completely up. And then, when I get to where I'm going to have to get something else, I'll flip that one, that one over. So I know, okay, this is, I
yeah, when I
need
get to like the
something.
5-day range,
And then I'll go
I'm
look
like,
at my list and see what it is that I'm going to be running out of and make sure I order it ahead of time. But you end up missing a dose now and then because they don't have it or it's not open.
everything's autofill except the Klonopin.
Yep, exactly. Everything's autofill except Klonopin. And my Epidiolex, I have to call because it has to be a formulary pharmacy, and there's only 3
Yeah.
left in California. So you have to call, and then they have to send it by FedEx Express, and you have to sign for it. So you have to promise you're going to be there. And yeah.
That might just be a reason to negotiate with the neurologist about just having access to this medication is contributing to more like a higher likelihood of having a bad one, because
Right.
those are the ones that are even harder to, if you miss a dose, not have a worse one. I
Right.
mean, and for me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I have to talk to my. I've gone way too long. I'm only supposed to go every 2 months, and no longer than 2 months. And we're coming up on about 6 months now. But that was
Yeah,
what they
I
had
was on the
available, and
Carbatrol longer than like any medication, but had to get off of that one because it just got too expensive.
Yeah.
And when they switched me to the generic, it didn't do anything. It was like I wasn't even taking any medicine. So
Really.
sometimes the generic does make a difference, because don't they call it the same thing, like carbamazepine, or like just like a longer word? Something sounds like Carbatrol.
Clonazepam. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Clonopin
So
is clonazepam. Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah. So whatever the generic was, it was like I was having the bad ones every other day.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah, but
interesting.
and that was like in my 20s. That was just like 10 years ago.
So
Wait,
you're
so
not
the
taking that
generic
anymore,
was
right?
making it worse?
Right. The generic was making it worse. Clobazam, or yeah, I think is the brand name. No. Clobazam is the one that I'm
Clonopin.
on now.
Clonopin.
Carbatrol.
Clonopin and
Car-
clonazepam. Mm-hmm.
okay, Carbatrol is the or the capsule that I
Yeah,
was
I've
on
been
for
on
like the
that one.
longest that I can remember.
All
I
right.
thought it was controlling it because that was what I was taking before and like during all of the surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
And it was well controlled enough that they only had to put like one surgery on hold because I was just having seizures, and that one controlled it well enough, but then it got expensive. That was right when I was switching from private insurance. You can only stay on parents insurance, I think, until like 28 nowadays. So
26.
that's when, yeah, there you go. So that's when I had to switch. I was already on disability. I lost my regular insurance. So, but the Medicare didn't kick in yet.
Mm-hmm.
After you get on disability, I think it takes like 2 years or something for the
Yeah,
Medicare to
I don't
actually
have
take
mine
over.
yet. I don't have it
And
yet.
it was that waiting period. During the waiting period is what they call it, is when I know I couldn't afford any of the medications that were working. So it was all relying on this thing to make a difference. And now every time I go in for one of these appointments, they look at the data. I have to send data remotely every day, just like putting a wand to my head, and it
Wow.
collects it and sends it.
Wow.
And well, that's the other thing too. It felt like the Stone Ages, because when I first got this done in 2020, I think it was, the only way I could transfer the data was with an Ethernet cable.
Wow.
So I have the Verizon box, when I got off of one of those other insurance companies, AT&T or something, with a hard wire,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't transfer the data. So after this tornado in Florida, we had to leave that house, came here, didn't have any way to transfer data. And that's why the last like 2 visits have been useless, because they couldn't see any of the data off of this device, just because the only like FDA approved way of transferring the data was still using an Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the
Crazy.
first time that I've been able to get back to transferring data on a regular basis. And just based on what I told them, they still decided to adjust the settings and tell me that it was going to zap me a little sooner.
Okay.
Basically, when these pins pick up on anything
So
different.
you have them on both sides. Do you have them on both
Right.
sides, Kevin?
What was that?
Your
So-
implant, do you have it on one side or on both sides?
Just,
Right. Do you have a
I think
zapper?
it's a little different than hers.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it was a little bit different. I was just
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah. It's the
Yeah.
VNS. It's in my chest.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. I for some reason was not aware of that kind. Sorry.
It's
My fault.
it's in my chest and in my neck. So
Okay. Okay.
it stimulates the vagus nerve.
Yeah, it's
Right.
vagus nerve, and then
runs-
mine's like
Okay. Okay.
responsive something. See, I know vagus
Yes.
nerve stimulator, but I don't know RNS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baby, do you use the magnet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So-
swipe the magnet and it stimulates the vagus nerve.
Okay. And do you have to send your information in to your doctor as well? Or do you have to, they just ask you
Not
questions?
that I know of.
No?
Yeah. I go in and they have a device and they beep and it
all goes in. So.
Oh, okay. So, and
I
do
was
you
under the
have to
impression like the VNS is more of like a they kind of know when it's like more on a schedule. That's kind of pre-programmed. Is that the impression that they gave you? Or explanation?
I'm sorry. I'm just
No.
interested.
Oh, trust me. I went through my journal the other day and I'm seeing how many questions I asked my doctor. You know, are you going to give me the RNS 300 or the 320 because like somebody's head blew up on the 300? Yeah,
Oh
like
my
there were these
God.
like horror stories, and I'm about to go into surgery, and at this last minute visit, I'm double checking what device they're even implanting because they are so good at swiping these horror stories under the rug of
Yeah.
medical devices actually causing damage.
Right.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't know if I had like a fucking focal or absence because I don't remember how we got to like the topic of this.
I'm sorry. I
No idea.
asked a
It's all right.
question about, well, I don't know how we got to this exact subject, but I asked a question of Katie and Kevin about their implants and the differences between them and whether you have to.
And this is my first one of these meetings, so please
Oh, go
forgive me
ahead.
for rambling because
It's all
I know
right.
it's
No.
I'm the queen of rambling, apparently. So
It's
that's
all
what I
right.
do. So I'm really sorry that you fell out and we didn't notice. That's terrible. I'm sorry.
Was I genuinely can get spacey sometimes, and if we just veered off from that, I'm
Okay.
gonna use to.
It wasn't too long. It wasn't too long. We were just discussing things because I
And
had.
I don't think you missed anything of like real value because I don't even remember what RNS stands for. So
Right.
you're good. If they ever recommend it, definitely do your own research.
It's the difference between the vagus nerve one and the one that's in the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
At
The
least,
craniotomy was done like right here. All the lumps are back here, but they say that's from the rods they put in. The
Mhm.
craniotomy they're showing right here, like that's where I have to hold the wand.
right.
So
Okay.
I'm guessing that's like where they took the skull out.
Okay.
So, Katie,
And
Interesting.
mine
the
is just
question
in the
first.
chest.
Oh,
Right.
And the neck. And I just had a battery replacement in January.
Oh,
Oh, how long did
awesome.
you get to go? Did your battery last
Uh,
you like 5 years or?
it depends. It
Oh,
varies
okay.
from person to person. It can be
Go later.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Mine's set on a very high strength, so this one only lasted 3 years.
Oh,
So
okay. So that
No,
can
that's a
vary.
very long time. That's nice. I mean,
Not for
especially
brain surgery though.
when you've got 7 years without a seizure, 3 years between batteries isn't bad.
Yeah.
no, not too bad. And the outpatient, it's outpatient surgery, the battery replacement. So I was, you know,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was out within, the day. So
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Well,
good to know.
yeah,
that's
no
so
good.
ice cream or
Katie,
anything, but
What's up, Bookie?
earlier we were talking about. There was a question that said, "How do you know when your seizure is over?"
Mm.
And I can't exactly tell because I've woken up in the ambulance and then went to sleep and then woke up in the hospital bed.
I
So
remember.
I never like. Does anyone know when they're over?
I remember the last thing we were talking about is I was kind of like interested in like the
Hey guys, I'm just gonna take her out.
de-escalation skills of like your neighbor, and then we
Oh,
were talking about something else afterwards, and then I don't know how we got to
If he
the.
comes, you come too.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we were
Maybe
talking, but we were talking about Pookie helping himself to his neighbor's house, and then
well, yeah.
a couple of other different places that he had gone. And thankfully, there was always someone kind and understanding that helped. Thank God, because goodness
right.
gracious, that could be terrible. Oh my,
Yeah.
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 So I don't know if you remember all of that conversation, but that was, I think, the last thing before we got on to this one. I was just asking about the implants. I don't think they're going to ever suggest that for me, just because even if they do exploratory surgery, they just say you're going to take medicine anyway forever. But and then we were talking about clonazepam and online pharmacies or delivery pharmacies.
What I remember is the last one, and then
Right.
so how much topics between that and the devices were there?
You didn't miss much. Is like a minute or
Nothing.
two. It wasn't.
Basically nothing. We went off topic to talk about other stuff. Yeah, we didn't miss anything.
I just zoned out. And
Yeah,
Hey,
you
now
were.
that you're back, though, does anybody? I'm noticing almost a full moon. It's looking like. Anybody ever notice a correspondence of that kind of thing with their seizures? You know, times of the month in general.
Well,
I'm an introvert, so I don't see the moon often. No,
Okay.
I would kind of treat I was just kind of keep that as like the fun kind of like quip. I don't know if I ever like buy
full moons make me have seizures.
Yeah, right. Like, how many of you are Virgos?
Well, I mean, I think probably that when I started having issues, it might have been slightly connected to my cycle, so catamenial, but then I just, after a while of taking the anti-seizure medicine, I just kind of, they said, well, you're premenopausal, and I just haven't in a long, long time. So I don't really have any particular time of the month. It just seems to happen when.
See, I wish, and they're just telling me I needed to get my tube side.
Oh, yeah, I had to do that.
And that didn't make a difference?
No.
God knows I just don't feel like a woman anymore, but still have all the stupid side effects to deal with.
Yeah, it's
Okay, yeah. So since we have ladies here, I see one that says seizures and birth control. Let me go into that.
Oh,
So
my mother
28-year-old
swears that
female.
if I never went on Depo, that would have happened.
Mm.
He blames birth control for it, but that's more of a Florida thing because she's like hardcore Republican and did not think that it was fair for a 16-year-old to be able to get birth control without their parents' consent.
Because it'd be so much better for a 16-year-old to have a baby, right?
You know.
I was born in Appalachia, so you can kind of see where I'm going here. Like,
hey.
Very common.
Like I'd rather acknowledge that, you know.
Sorry to cut off your question again, Pookie. Just circle that one, and we'll come back to it. I promise, eventually.
Gotcha.
I guess to that, and like parents like shaming for birth control. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know they're probably gonna do it. Do you really want to just ignore that and then potentially have to pay for, like, you know, your grandkid that you didn't want to have yet?
Mm-hmm.
Or
everybody's different, that's for sure.
That
I know.
Your daughter, she's getting plowed. You just gotta deal with it. Put her on birth control.
Stop
that
freaking
way
out.
when I explained it to my parents, but
we all know.
Yeah.
You know, if they got together and they hooked up in the 70s, I mean, I know it was probably even more back then.
Right. And there was probably a mixture of drugs back then.
Oh yeah, I love
it
being
was
able
the
to talk
thing
to my
back
aunts.
then.
Exactly, you know, talking to my aunts and uncles, they're telling me that's when Judy was in the hippie van and she met that dark skinned dude, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so you were in a hippie van, you know about that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, circle back around now.
Yeah.
Seizures and birth control. 28-year-old female started having seizures December 2024. Both times were a couple days after or before my period started. This month, I had a period at normal time, and then 2 weeks later began to bleed again. Very abnormal for me. Again, another reason to believe hormones are my issue. I am on estrogen birth control pill. Everything I've heard from doctors and reading suggestions on IUDs. I made an appointment, have an IUD placed, but having second thoughts. Could I not go off the birth control completely to decrease my estrogen levels, or on a progesterone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Progesterone only pill? Mm-hmm. Any insight?
Well, unless she's getting lab tested.
Yeah, you know what I would say is go to your doctor
work the same for everybody.
Yeah, definitely you need to get a blood test and you need to find out
A
what
before and after
your
kind of thing.
levels are, because there's no way to tell. And it could be, like I just mentioned, certain people get catamenial seizures, which are like when you have your period. But if she's having breakthrough bleeding 2 weeks later, right, Katie, that usually means you either need a higher dose of pill or it's not the right one for what you're having problems of,
Or if it's causing other symptoms.
or maybe you just have another problem entirely, like, and that's rolling into becoming the seizures.
Okay.
That's just my lady's opinion.
Along with what you said, the catamenial. Someone in the comments said, look into catamenial epilepsy. My doctor put me on a mini pill because of the progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
I only have seizures at the point in the menstruation cycle when progesterone dips and estrogen spikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully the mini pill will do its job in keeping that dip from happening by keeping progesterone higher. That's the idea anyway. I started diligently tracking my period and moods and bleeding, looking for patterns. And just as a side note, epilepsy medications often decrease the effectiveness of birth control. Be safe.
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
they do.
It sucks.
Yeah,
Great.
they actually, when they put me on a hormone
Is that
replacement.
what that means? Like hormone-based seizures or hormone triggered seizures?
Yeah, catamenial is, they're like period or hormone-based seizures.
Oh, okay.
And they put me on a small pill too, just to a hormone replacement kind of a thing. But it's basically a birth control pill. But every time I would go to pick it up, the pharmacist would go, "Now you know that this isn't effective with your other medication." And I'm like,
Oh,
"I've had
wow.
my tubes tied for 14 years, sweetie. Everything's okay. We're good." Yeah, but
Nothing's
yeah,
coming
catamenial.
out.
Am I about so many like of these quote unquote health professionals? It's like they work you into revealing all these unnecessary details.
Yeah.
And after I walked out of pharmacies, I just felt like, why the hell did I even have to say it?
Dude, I didn't need to know. It's fine.
I think that's a good thing I think that's good that the pharmacist brought that up.
Well, in case I didn't have my tubes tied, it might be.
You know,
Yes. Yeah. It's true.
in certain situations, but other times you feel like they're just looking at you like you're a whore.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Come on now, I'm in South Florida. Remember, there's
Well,
all kinds of people down here.
hey,
I moved from
come
Florida
up to
20 years
Indiana.
ago, so I'm all about. I know what you're talking
Indiana
about.
is basically diet Florida.
Oh, we're getting back to the Appalachians for sure. I want my seasons back.
Yeah.
And I bet you if I go long enough without a seizure, family will let me plow the driveway.
Oh boy.
You know, they haven't let me behind the wheel of anything.
Oh,
But
man.
eventually, if I can go long enough, I think they'll, keep me on a looser leash.
Mm.
They
And
so
I
I
say
guess-
this walking through a retirement community.
I don't know.
That's
Just
where
like
I'm
I guess
staying right now.
a slight anecdote, I guess, as to what you were saying with the pharmacist was like, oh, this could make it ineffective. Like I feel it's really helpful for to get pharmacist advice on like meds too, because it's I had accidentally double dosed one day, and it was rough. It was a rough fucking time.
Yeah.
And I like double dosed on what I take for my morning meds, and I asked my pharmacist, like, hey, what should I do? Is like, he was like, oh yeah, no, so don't take you don't need to take like the same dosage that you would take at night. Just take like the night meds that you would take, because that's still going to be in your system.
Right.
Like, he was like, yeah, you don't need to worry about taking it. It's still going to be in your system. Like, you don't need to worry about the effects of it not being in your system at that point so much, because you've taken a double dose, that half-life is going to go for a really long time. He just said to take the the normal meds that I take at night, which is not meds that I take at night, which is like the trazodone and the clobazam. That's my nighttime one. But yeah, it's pharmacist. Pharmacists can help. Like a good pharmacist is nice.
Yeah, same with the neurologist who actually like genuinely wants to know what's up,
Yeah.
not just
They're
looking
like-
at you on paper and then making a decision from, you know, whatever their last test told them to do.
Right.
That's why I like the Walgreens pharmacy by me, because the guy like knew what was up and was able to like tell me like, yeah, you'll be fine. Just do not take the second dose of night meds.
Yeah, basically like don't triple dose.
Yeah. But you will be
All
okay.
right.
The half-life is pretty high on those.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's reassuring. I kind of like that about the mail order pharmacy too, because you still have somebody 24/7 available. I mean, so they say. I don't think I've ever had to use it, but
Right. So they
that's
say.
definitely one of their selling points. You just definitely don't know who you're going to be talking to.